All right, welcome everybody to the comic panel. I'm Cody.
I'm Taylon.
I'm Jacob.
And I'm Shawenta.
And for those of you listening for the first time, we are a bi-weekly radio show podcast comic book club covering any and everything regarding comics and manga. We have each co-host picks a book that follows a specific theme and reviews a book for each episode. Then we wrap up the theme with a post-mortem episode covering our opinions and favorite moments from each of the books. This is the third book review in our theme of continuations, where we read a book, a volume that continues after, like a volume 2 or a volume 3 from a series that we've already covered in the past. The first book was The Magic Order, volume 2 by writer Mark Millar. The second book was Something is Killing the Children, volume 2 by writer James Tynion IV. And our third book, which is today, we are reviewing Invincible, volume 3 by Robert Kirkman. And art, pencils and inks by Ryan Ottley, and Bill Crabtree is the colorist, and Robert Kirkman also lettered. So jumping into the review, just a quick summary. In the first 2 volumes of Invincible, Mark Grayson, our hero, is just an average high schooler, except for his dad is the most famous superhero on Earth, Omni-man, essentially a Superman pastiche. Mark's dad, his identity is Nolan Grayson, and Mark grew up seeing him rush off to save the world. And that's what Mark has always wanted to do with his life, is also go and save the world. But his powers, don't manifest until one day.
Late puberty.
Yeah, late puberty.
He was told it might happen much earlier.
Yeah.
So he spent years being like, am I actually going to get powers like my dad?
Right, yeah. It wasn't until he was like mid-high school, basically. And so he's ready to be a superhero. And then there's, plenty of superhero adventures, but tragedy strikes. Omni-man was posing, to be a righteous hero. But the Guardians of the Globe, which are the basically Justice League pastiche, by the end of volume 2, all of the Guardians of the Globe are dead. And importantly, Omni-Man is not a member of the Guardians of the Globe. And
he was like an honorary member, though, wasn't he?
Yeah,
he always showed up and worked with them, but...
Definitely. But never officially. And so it was Omni-Man who actually committed the murders of the Guardians of the Globe. And that is where volume 2 left off, what we covered. Volume 3 continues the story as if nothing happened, because nobody knows.
Yeah, the story is tragically Guardians of the Globe killed by persons or person unknown.
Probably villains.
Yeah. And Nolan wants to tell his son, something important. But basically Mark is too busy, and Nolan, is struggling to even have the courage to talk to him about it. Then there are 2 villains, the Mauler Twins, which are, basically clones of each other. They revive one of the members of the Guardians of the Globe, the Immortal. They do this, thinking that they can control him. And so when the Immortal awakens, he flies off, not under their control, and, basically wants revenge on Omni-Man.
He remembers who murdered him.
Yeah, he does. Omni-Man was too much for him, and he killed him again, but this time, Mark sees him do the act because it's sudden. He can't let this, get out. He wasn't expecting this, but Mark just happens to fly up to him right when it happens.
It forces Nolan to admit what Mark is seeing with his very eyes. But no, wait. It's not what you think, Mark. It kind of is.
Yeah, it kind of is. Yeah, Nolan finally tells Mark what he's been trying to tell him, that the Viltrumites, the alien race that they are both members of. Their job is to force the Earth to submit to Viltrumite rule.
They enslave planets.
Yeah.
And the thing that he told Mark when Mark was a little kid was that, no, we're just a peacekeeping group.
Yeah, we're a society that just like we
such a utopia.
Yeah, we're a utopian society, and we will give our technology and our medicines and everything over, which, yeah,
but
why?
He mentioned, they do protect the planets, and then they also destroy the ones that show any sort of resistance to joining their group.
Yeah.
Which obviously Mark is not super thrilled to hear about.
Yeah. So, yeah, a fight ensues with Mark refusing to go along with his father's plans and Nolan beating Mark into a bloody pulp before flying off-world.
It kind of seems like Nolan's abandoned the Earth at the very end there.
Yeah. Yeah, and also an important detail to this is that, it was supposed to be, he says that he is going to just kill Mark. He's all like, he says that the lifespan of Viltrumites is such that, 17 years is nothing,
This has been, a speck in my lifespan. It was fun while it lasted, and I can totally have more kids. You're not that important.
Yeah.
And then when he goes to do the finishing blow, he seems to feel bad enough that he doesn't.
Yeah, he abandons his post. Because that's the other thing. He's supposed to kill Mark and then also take over the Earth himself, but...
And in the process of fighting with Mark, everybody saw it, right?
Yeah, yes. It is definitely something that everybody knows now. So, Talon, why did you choose this book?
Yeah, I had just started or finished the second half of the last season that came out a year ago. So
very timely. Season 3 is coming out soon.
Oh yes.
I didn't watch season 2 at all.
Oh, okay.
I want to finish the entire series first.
Gotcha. Yeah, and so I was just like, oh yeah, we haven't read this in a while. It's kind of not in my wheelhouse, but so. Yeah.
And if I remember correctly, I don't think that our volume 1/2 episode actually made it to podcast form.
No, it did not.
Oh no.
Yeah.
No. It was a radio exclusive.
Yeah.
Yep. But yeah, I remember from that, not much, but I do remember I didn't like it.
Okay, that was what motivated you? You were like, I remember it.
Yeah.
Interesting. Usually we're like, we want to hear more from the comic, so we want to read more.
Yeah.
But you're like, topical.
Yeah, yep.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. So, what was everybody's expectations going into this book? I mean, I'll say that I have actually now read at least this volume multiple times. Not that the volume itself is like a favorite or anything. It's just that I've read it and then I did a reread that I didn't finish the whole series, but definitely past that point. So I read it recently and then I just read it for this.
So have you read the whole series?
I have.
Okay. Several people here know all the secrets, I guess.
Talon doesn't.
No. Yeah. I only know what the show has shown us, so. Which is a little bit past this volume.
This volume wraps up pretty much where the first season wraps up.
Yeah.
It's actually on the same shot, to be fair.
Yeah.
Recorded on the same set.
What about you, Jake?
Sure.
On location.
What were your expectations for this series you've read before?
I was going to say, I have also read all the way through at least once, possibly. I may have reread through it again after we did the first 2 volumes on the show. So I might have done it again then. And there have been a couple times where I'm like, I'm just going to read the last half, or probably not last half, last third of the series. Because it's man, that's what it gets like. There are a bunch of cool fights, a bunch of cool things that happen. I know what
coming
happens at all
together.
the beginning. I don't need to read that.
Yeah.
Yeah, his dad leaves, the earth changes.
Shawinta, were you on the show when we did the first 2 volumes?
Yeah.
Yeah, I had to have read that. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know when else I would have read them and then seen the first season. So
Gotcha.
my problem was, I was like, I can't remember what happened when we read it. I remember most of the season 1, so I was getting it muddled in my head. I was like, what order does this stuff happen?
Yeah, no, definitely. That actually happens to me all the time when I'm reading Invincible. I'm like, because I was doing my big read through, but I was also watching the show, and I was like,
Oh no.
sometimes like getting to like points where things were like exactly the same, and then other times where it was like, oh, now we're like way further.
Yeah, I will say, like, I don't know, the pacing on the TV show is definitely different.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would say that I remember liking it when we first read it, and I've always been like, oh, I'll read the rest later. And yeah, I'm glad to get this extra push. I've read another volume. Now I need to do another 100 chapters or so.
You were saying you were going to finish it this weekend, right?
Yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Say how you like it. I'm interested.
I think my expectations, I don't know if I had any, honestly. I felt like I was like a little bit more positive about it just because I enjoyed the show.
Yeah.
And so
I was gonna say, it sounds like the show prepped you for like how things were gonna turn out.
yeah.
Yeah. I think that I probably, like, honestly, like, I knew that because we had kind of discussed it a little bit before, that it was like, okay, the twist happens in volume 2, so volume 3 is like kind of the rest of it, that last section of like, and Nolan, goes bad fully. Yeah, I think that I just it's like Jake said, the final chapters are a lot better in my mind, and honestly, the TV show has spoiled me a lot. I think that I like the show much more at this point.
The pacing of the show is very good.
Yeah,
we can talk about it more, but
yeah. So in one sentence, what did we think of the volume?
it's difficult.
Yeah. I would say I was actually a little bit disappointed. Having read it multiple times, I was like, man, this is just not up to the standard that I remembered it,
I don't know. I feel like volume 3, this is not going to be one word or one sentence.
Yeah.
I feel like volume 3, there's that big twist, like you're saying, and then it's almost like drags it out so much to do the reveal, but then also is so fast because if they gotta have it happen, they're going on to the next paradigm shift.
Yeah.
So it's a weird mix of the two. I wouldn't say it's bad, but I would say it feels a little weaker than some of the others.
Yeah.
Overall, though,
I was definitely
Invincible's
reading
pretty
it
bad.
and felt like the show did it right, where the twist is at the beginning and the fallout is the rest of the show.
Yeah.
And this is like, the twist happens at the end of one volume and the fallout is in the next volume. And I feel like you should have just combined those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. I can't remember if I mentioned this in our first coverage of this series or not. I feel like actually I probably learned this more recently anyway, but yeah, apparently Kirkman, he was going to drag out the twist even longer initially. And basically, I think it was Eric Larson of Dragon Man fame and original founder of Image Comics, co-founder of Image Comics.
Okay.
He was all like, if you have something to do it now. Don't wait.
No, you definitely said that in the last
Okay.
coverage. Yeah.
Okay, I couldn't remember, but yeah. So, yeah, that was always interesting to me, just like thinking about that aspect of it, of how like dragged out the beginning feels.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's interesting to have a story and then be told, you got to hurry up, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't selling good enough, either.
I mean, if you don't have the twist, it just seems like a really kind of snappy superhero comic. I'm just a regular guy, but I'm not. But also kind of satire of superhero ones.
Right.
Yeah.
But they don't have like long scenes. I was really noticed that when I reread these first 2 volumes, where I was like, oh, this is really quick. We have to do this and we have to do this. Like,
Yeah, he's doing so much to like set up, like, because basically that's what it is. It's like it's almost similar in a way to how Claremont writes for X-Men. He'll have like 4 or 5 different plot lines like running through a single issue, and then it's all like eventually like one volume is dedicated kind of to one of them, and then so it's all like, okay, we tacked that one off and then we're adding another.
Hydra style.
Yeah, exactly.
But the whole point of it, to get that twist, you gotta make it seem almost too boring and regular, right?
Right. Yeah.
I'm glad they got to it.
Yeah. Okay. So now we kind of spilled into our general feelings about this book, but
We can talk more about what we liked and disliked about it.
yeah. What did we like and dislike about this? I would say that, like, for me, we talked about like the pacing is like kind of slow, and I think that this is, I'm pretty sure, the first volume that Ryan Ottley takes over the art from Cory Walker, and I think that he's still finding his footing. Overall, I do like Ottley's work more than Walker's. Like they have different skills, but
I did feel it though, or like when I was reading it, I was like, oh, their faces are different now.
Yeah.
Is this like a guest artist thing? And I was like, oh, no, it isn't. This is just the new normal.
Yeah. Every once in a while, Walker will come back and fill in, but pretty much from now until the end of the series, it's Ottley.
That's really interesting.
I think it's until like the last couple issues is Ottley.
What a choice. And for our ending, we'll have somebody else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard to talk about everything because it's all tied together, right? All 3 volumes are really tied together. So it's hard to talk about specifically in volume 3 what I liked and disliked. I definitely really liked, like we were saying, when you have the twist and the fallout, you want to see that fallout. You're like, what is Mark's mom going to react to, like, her whole life being a lie?
Yeah.
Kind of thing. And same with Mark. And Mark, I would say in some ways, Mark isn't reacting the same way his mom is. Or his mom's, like, probably an adult who realizes how insane this is. Whereas Mark's like, well, I'm a kid in some ways. I just have to get used to it. I guess this is how life is.
Yeah.
It changes for the worst.
Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah. What about you, Jake? What would dislike likes?
I liked. Oh, I guess I'll start a little more with what I liked. It was
Yeah.
different to read something with like hindsight and like how things have changed, not only in the show but like as the series goes. So like during the like new Guardians tryout, Monster Girl is there and beats up Rexplode. And Invincible fights her for a second and she says, "Hey, don't worry, you punched me. Nothing can hurt me in my monster form." It's like, well, that's not true. Hold on, is that a change? Or is that something that's like, oh, wait, it's just nothing so far.
I just
hit her hard
assumed
enough
the
to make her-
character just wouldn't know, right?
Yeah. It's like, oh, that makes sense. That's like actual development, kind of.
Yeah. Yeah,
I kind of get that with, like, I've seen some of the, like, covers of future issues, and so certain characters, I'm like, how is this character going to become so important to this series? You know, you get the little feeling that, like, things are happening, plotting.
Yeah. Do you have any? I'm kind of curious now. Any specific characters that you're all like, you feel like are gonna feature heavily?
I do not. No, I don't want to make any claims.
Okay.
I can't wait to see what happens with Alan, though.
Okay. Yeah. No,
Alan,
for sure.
the
alien.
oh,
The only
one.
one.
I thought the like secret or the dummy secret agent guy, not dummy, but like
Donald?
Donald. Yeah.
I feel like I've seen enough of the show to know like something's going on with Robot. I can't remember what.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That definitely happens in season 1.
I just can't remember though.
Yeah.
So it's weird reading the comic and being like, did I miss something? Is something going on with him? Or is it going to happen later? I can't remember.
Yeah, definitely later something.
It's amazing how it's like, I watched all of that and it's clouding my memory of the book, but also the book is, I don't know, it's overwriting it. I have no idea what's going to happen next.
Yeah.
I'm the perfect reader.
There you go. I trying to watch the rest of the season, I definitely forgot most of everything. like the broad strokes are there, like I get the premise, but then like the finer details I'm like, no. And so yeah, I don't remember the book either.
I wonder if that's also like something with volume 3 where we're talking about it's setting up so much for later.
Yeah.
But we just don't know what it is. So you read it and you're kind of like, nothing happened except for his dad betraying him, which we knew was going to eventually happen.
True.
Yeah.
What a good fight.
Yeah, it was a really good.
It's barely a fight.
I know. The show made it so good.
Yeah. It's true. Yeah. Actually, I'm like.
I'm thinking of the show's fight.
Yeah. Like I knew, but and even like, the first hit sends Invincible through a building and then
Killing thousands.
into another building. Yeah, killing thousands. But it's like just kind of shrugged off. It's almost even played for a joke slightly because he's like, "Oh, I got a bloody nose," like with like 3 little like ellipses dots, It's like the show unfortunately, well, I mean fortunately, but unfortunately in comparison emphasizes the tragedy of the attack.
I just remember watching the show and being like, he's going to stop at some point, right?
Yeah.
This is really brutal.
Yeah. Like, yeah, and then we go through, like, the train, which, again, the show did, like, much more, like, tragically. And then, yeah, just, like...
But the bones are there.
Yeah, the bones are there. It's true. We just don't see anybody's faces, Like, with it, like, a little bit in, like, the windows of the train, but not, like, any, like, actual focus on the people.
I almost feel like Nolan is more sympathetic in the book than the show with the way.
Interesting.
Just like I feel like he gets more scenes to be like, oh, I should tell Mark. I'm gonna tell Mark now, and doesn't get the chance. I mean, I'm not saying I sympathize with him so far, but I feel like he gets more chances to show us almost human struggle with emotion. Versus the show, which I don't know if it got. I get the feeling, once again, vibes, that it didn't. It can't show it in the same way. He comes off almost as like just kind of creepy, standing in the hallway, murderous vibes.
Yeah, I can definitely see where you're coming from with that. I think that, like, to me, there's definitely, like, it's probably in the vocal performance, honestly, where I'm like, oh yeah, I see it. And also, I don't think that, well, yeah, to where I've watched in the show, I don't think that they've gotten to the point where they've introduced the Thraxians. Jake, is that
Oh, are those the alien bug?
Are those the bug people?
Yeah, the bug people.
Yeah, they've introduced
Yes.
them.
They get there in season 2.
Okay. I don't think I've gotten that far. I stopped watching
But
season 2.
also, even with like season 1, where like we get to see him go in the portal and murder so many,
yeah.
and that just never happens in the book. And I was like, oh, so far.
Yeah. I'm surprised,
I think
actually.
we're past that. I think in the book that just happens off screen.
That's what I mean. It happens off screen. So like, you don't really get the idea that he was murderous.
Yeah.
Versus in the show, you get to see it and you're like, oh.
Right. Yeah. Because I think that, like, they do like a single panel, a single scene where it's all like, like I wasn't asking or something like that, and then it's like, and then later on you see the destruction when the Flaxians come back after Omni-man leaves, and it's been like 100 years for them or whatever.
Crazy.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay. All right. So talking about our theme now, as far as a continuation, what do you think about how this volume compares to the last volume?
I didn't even think to read the last volume. So that was
I read from the beginning, and I also read some weird issue 0 accidentally.
Oh, Adam Eve?
I don't know what that was, but it tried to spoil everything for me. And I hated that one.
No. That's messed
It was
up.
really weird. It was Mark's like recounting to Amber of everything that happened.
Oh, right,
I hate
right.
that issue.
Yeah.
Burn it.
Because, they're not in college yet. So that happens when they go to college. And
I don't know why it was there.
Was it Invincible Universe?
No,
It just said
was
issue 0.
It was issue 0. It's when
Is it a retroactive issue?
No, it's just a recap issue from that point, but it's supposed to happen like another like volume later or something.
It's the one I started with before I even got to issue 1.
I guess it's because it's titled issue 0. I'm sure somebody just filed it wrong, and I'm like, that's so stupid.
That was the worst. I was like, if this was my first time reading this, I would be so mad.
Yeah.
Because Amber's like, so then your dad killed everybody, right? Like, Amber, be quiet.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's like much later, but not that much later either.
I don't know. There's as far as continuations, like I appreciate that you chose this, Talon, once again, like I said, because I want to read it all. I also appreciate a series that is finished and has an ending. What a concept. So I
think we
guess,
say that every single episode for the past.
Nah. What do you mean? Every single story goes on forever and ever. There's no endings.
Yeah, that's how they're real people.
It's a big comic wants you to believe.
Only a true ending can be realistic if it is unsatisfying, like true life.
Yeah.
This makes me think of Fantastic Four. Ultimate Fantastic Four, the first volume. That ended unsatisfying.
I don't
But it
remember.
continued. You needed to read more.
That's why, I needed to read more. I read the second volume and I was like, I'm good.
But, I mean, with that foresight, I can kind of, like, appreciate volume 3 with everything changing. I will say, I don't know, it ends, so there's the issue where Omni-man leaves, and then it ends with kind of an epilogue to that, like everything afterwards. Him recovering, his mom finding out, and him getting told, well, you got to step up and be the new Omni-man.
Yeah.
What a setup for, like, the rest of the series.
Right. Yeah. Totally. It does, like, and it's interesting, again, to compare and contrast with the show. Like, Mark takes a lot longer to, like, kind of come around on that. And in this, it's like, oh, yeah, I guess I am needed.
He's like, what else can I do?
Yeah.
Like, well, yeah, you're right. In the book, he is very teenager-ish. She's like, you'll pay for everything, and I get everything, and all I have to do is try my best.
Yeah, because I wasn't sure if he actually joined, like, Cecil in the show. I mean, I guess he did.
Yeah. It gets blurred, like I was saying. Like, I think so, though.
I guess he in the book, they're not saying
it.
he joined the Guardians of the Globe, right?
No, he never joins the Guardians.
Oh, okay.
If anything, it's just having the little earpiece. Or I don't think they use.
Oh, the beeper.
Yeah, they don't use the beeper in the show because it's in modern times. So it's
That was like questionable even in like 2007. If anybody has a beeper, it would be absurd.
Yeah.
He's an
Yeah.
eccentric
2020 when that
novelist.
comes out.
Yeah. I mean, that is something, though, in the book, like the next volume, basically, Amber, before she knows his secret, is like, is Mark selling drugs? 'Cause he has a beeper.
God. Even the ending of, I think the actual ending of that issue has Mark saying something along the lines of like, or he gets asked, what are you going to do next? He's like, I guess try to graduate high school.
Yeah.
That's still like a concern, a priority in his life, despite his dad dying, quotation marks, in a
Right.
car crash.
Yeah, that was the story that they ran with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, because you forget, at least I do, Nolan Grayson is an award-winning author.
Yeah,
I mean-
of travel books.
Travel books.
I forget. What do you tell everybody if Superman goes evil? Like, everybody saw Omni-Man fight his son.
Yeah.
Well, now
Another
everyone knows.
another superhero.
Yeah.
So they saw him fight the Immortal.
Oh, yeah. That was his uncle.
Family feud. Getting Maury in here.
Yeah. No, definitely. I mean, after the Guardians, the original Guardians die too, and then it's like, and then Omni-Man like turns out to be like evil and stuff. It's like, ooh, it's not looking good for the superhero community.
To be fair, Marvel, like, a lot less people died, and the government was like, all right, time to register these people.
Yeah, that's true.
I
They are
guess
being
that's
pr-
what Cecil
They're being
is.
pretty chill about this, actually, the thousands of people who died from that fight.
Yeah.
They're like, Mark, try your best.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, of course, it does seem like Cecil has like some like, government shadowy ability to just affect people's like, interpretations of stuff.
Oh, yeah, all
Yeah,
the
he was
little
like-
secret techniques.
I can alter the buying habits or something of the populace. I was like, what?
He means he just posts it online on a top 10 list and everybody buys it. All of Nolan's books.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Pay some influencer.
Okay. Wait, did I say
This is
how
the
I
first question.
Yeah, well, I'm just curious if I said how I felt like this compared to the last volume. I mean, I didn't really read it super recently, but I think overall, like I said, I like Ryan Otley's art better. But as far as like continuing the story, I think that like it's basically treading in the same waters, but it's just about to get like past that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Like, obviously like from volume 1 to volume 2, we get that like
You're just waiting for the other shoe to drop.
the other shoe to drop. Yeah. Now both shoes are on the ground.
And what a mess we've made.
Yeah. Yeah.
You want to continue that analogy? I don't know where we go from here.
Yeah.
There's mud everywhere.
Yeah. Really stepped in
Who's
it.
going to clean it?
Mark is.
Ah, yes.
But yeah, so did the previous volume set up well for the continuation of this story?
I think that's obvious, yes.
I mean, I'm just surprised. I'm always surprised by Nolan's like hesitance to tell Mark. I figured he'd be like, nobody can know. Secret evil villain stuff.
Yeah.
So it's interesting characterization.
Okay. You, Jake?
Yeah, as much as I did say, like, you should put these two events together, like the twist and the follow-up, like, I can't imagine, like, there was a, like, downturn in sales after, like, big murder at the end of the last issue, and then, like, tune in next week, see what happens.
Yeah.
Which, I guess, is advice. If your story is failing, put a murder in there.
So
Yeah.
many people do that. And it's so bad.
Cagey advice. Could work.
Has a 50% success rate.
as we've discussed in many books, make it a good murder mystery, please.
Yeah, yeah. So important. Okay.
I mean, now to be fair, it doesn't have to be a mystery. Sometimes it's better to know who it is, and then the ramifications of that following on can be more interesting than the mystery.
Are you saying actions have consequences in stories, Jake?
Sometimes.
And when they do, it's really good.
Most of the time.
In
If they're
theory.
meaningful.
Meaning. What does that mean?
It's not really a consequence if it doesn't have a meaning,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
Yeah, that seems right.
It's just a coincidence.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what do we know about logic? Correlation doesn't equal causation. So
It's a
That
comic.
is
Get
true.
over it.
All right, and then this also seems kind of like relatively obvious. I think does this volume set up well for the continuation of the story?
I don't know. I need to read the rest.
I mean,
but the fact that you want to read might be an
I mean, do
indication.
you see that there is a place for this story to go, though?
Okay, yeah. I think I said that already.
Yeah,
then. I
yeah.
was like, it looks like it's setting up for more story properly.
Yeah, that's why I was
Characters are being developed. Plot lines are continuing.
like, yeah.
Eve gets to talk to William for 5 seconds. Worlds collide.
Yeah.
I don't know where that's going.
Friendship.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know.
Sure.
Yeah.
I know a little bit.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that overall, it does have like, it props up like, plenty of like story opportunities. Like, will Nolan come back to Earth? What will he do when he comes back to Earth? What is like the deal with the coalition of planets and the Viltrumites and their like, Cold War, basically?
Yeah, those are like the long-term ones. And then short-term is like, can Mark even do this job?
Yeah, yeah.
He's agreed to it so quickly.
Who's
It's
Alan?
true. Yeah, like, I mean, there's definitely, at least his dad can almost kill him, so things can kill him.
Yeah.
His dad really could have just killed him.
Yeah, that would be the end of the story. Be a weird ending, too.
Like life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, let's not say that it's like life to get killed by your dad and then the Earth gets taken over.
Everyone's a superhero secretly. That's
Yeah.
what we've learned.
Yeah.
Okay. So now to segue into kind of our
Final opinions?
final opinions here. Yeah, have our opinions of this volume changed after hearing each other's perspectives?
I can say irrevocably no.
No. Okay.
I will say, like, I feel like in some ways with Invincible, so many people like it. And I just, like, read it and was like, I guess it's good. Everybody keeps telling me it's good. And then, like, discussing, I'm like, oh, it's kind of a mixed bag. I was, like, I noticed the pacing issues with the first 2 volumes. And then I think because volume 3 was so new to me, I kind of didn't pay attention to some of that. So once we discussed it, I was like, oh, yeah, there's still issues.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that for the most part, I would still say that I'm like kind of just like, yeah, mixed bag. It's not what it can be, you
But
know.
it's worth it for the rest.
Yeah, I'd say it's worth it for the rest. Yeah, although, again, I will say that the show has just blown it out of the water. I'm like, sorry, like, rarely does it happen where I'm like, yeah, the adaptation is better. And
It's
I'm like,
also the thing where, like, I remember that this is an old comic, and the fact that it's getting a new, fresh, like, well-done show.
yeah,
It's crazy.
it is crazy. Yeah, that is part of its sustained, new readership.
That's so lucky.
Yeah. Honestly, like, yeah, I think I'm like, I don't even know if Robert Kirkman has done anything else. He's just living off of Walking Dead and Invincible royalties.
Rightfully so.
Yeah.
Once in a while they'll do like a tie-in comic. Like there's a Battle Beast tie-in that's coming out this summer, I think.
Okay.
I think I saw
Is he
something.
writing that?
I think so. Ryan
Okay.
Otley's doing the art.
Okay. All right. I'll believe it.
Could be true. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess he does do some comics still.
Yeah,
Unverified information.
Yeah, unverified information.
you didn't hear it from us first.
Jake, have we changed your opinion on Invincible?
Still like it. The show is probably better, at least like through the first couple seasons, couple volumes. But I will diverge from Cody a little bit. I think if you're not feeling it by now, having read 3 volumes, I would not judge you for saying you didn't like it.
Mm.
I don't know. Maybe you just need to read 3 more volumes.
So is that not the same thing? What I'm getting from what you're saying is that reading the rest won't change your opinion?
This is kind of the new way it's going to be. I don't know. With the comic.
Yeah. Well, because like the last volume had the twist. This has a follow-up. And it's more of the like violence and gore that would be in a lot more of this series. Especially if that stuff turned you off, I wouldn't like protest you. It's like, no, it's really good if you get past the gore. If you don't like the gore, you don't like the gore. Like,
Yeah,
it's just,
yeah,
it's
that's-
just a fact.
That's true. They keep it pretty tame the first few. I forgot.
That's true. I forgot about that also. Yeah, I'd definitely say, yeah, don't go if the gore is not your thing.
They really didn't emphasize those high schoolers blowing up in malls.
Yeah, no, they completely skipped that story entirely in the show, which is funny. In that, I would say that the show is much, much more gory in a lot of ways.
you got-
Early on.
I mean, that's proper setup, right? You're
Yeah.
like, everybody, this is what you're getting.
Mm-hmm.
Get out now.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd say that, honestly, like, yeah, I think that it basically, in volume 4, it takes up to chapter 4 before we get to, like, what I feel like is the beginning of, like, what I like.
Mm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So just stick it out for 4 volumes, please.
Yeah.
But I think the 4 volumes are pretty quick. So you don't have to wait that long.
Yeah, it's true.
I think it makes sense. If you don't like the twist that happens at the end of volume 2, are you going to like the rest of the series?
Probably not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think that, yeah, it does come down to, like, how much you can, like, engage with the characters, even if they're a little bit shallow to start with,
Yeah.
and then they get deeper progressively.
Man, you just made me realize, like, I always love stories that are like, I'm this genre, but actually, and then there's a twist, and they're like, it's playing with you.
Yeah.
Cross game.
I love those. Oh my god, yeah. Just give me a weird twist that makes me go, oh my gosh.
Yeah. Yeah. No, because, yeah, that is one thing, like, across the entire series of Invincible that I feel like the show does better is that, like, sometimes it can feel like Mark is, like, a little bit too blank.
What do you mean?
Like, you know, he's just kind of like, even when he's upset and then, like, it's like, okay, well, we're back to status quo, I'm all right, you know. And then it's never the, like, okay, I've been, like, pushing all of this stuff down too much, you know, and now it's gonna all blow out of me. It's just like, nope, he's fine.
Some
Actually.
characterization beyond teenager
Yeah.
who's growing up.
Interesting.
That's interesting. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. So that's like, and I think even the show does it better, but sometimes it's all like, all right, I'm ready for Mark to just, like, you know, kind of go off the rails a little bit. Like, you know,
Be a
not
person.
Yeah.
Ooh, just wait.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, there's a scene where he like pretty much goes off the rails in the comic, but it's like different, and I'm like, I think I know what what it is.
Yeah.
That I would imagine that the show, the way that it expands certain deep character scenes like that, it would expand that comic scene and do it even better. So yeah. Okay. Cool. Well, I think that is all of our content for Invincible Volume 3. If you liked this episode, be sure to follow us on Twitter at The Comic Panel 1 and listen to more of us on Spotify. Our title is The Comic Panel Podcast. And be sure to tune in 2 weeks from today when we cover Department of Truth Volume 2. I'm Cody.
I'm Talon.
I'm Jacob.
And I'm Shawenta.
And we'll see you next time. Thanks for listening.